Hello friends, and welcome to another figure study where we're looking at, I believe it's GoGo Sentai Boukenger, I think that's how you pronounce it, Zubaan. I do not know what this thing's name is in the Power Rangers series, but we are looking at Zubaan, and this might be a little bit of a surprise for people just because, for all intents and purposes, I have run out of Sentai stuff to cover. Though I do have one other guy in addition to this to cover now. I did run out for a bit, but got a couple more. So I got Zubaan, and one of the reasons I got Zubaan is because he's really cheap. His electronics, I don't think they work. The battery compartment back here, it's corroded, and I don't care. So that's fine. I'm not even going to bother checking it. But I got him for like 20 bucks, so I will take that. For anyone who's curious, as far as I could tell, the easiest way to tell right off the bat whether or not you've got the Japanese version or the American version is the gold chrome on the chest here. Japanese version, it's gold chrome. US version, it is gold paint. Zubaan is not a particularly compelling figure in the sense that it doesn't combine with anything else or have much posability at all, but he looks neat, and is actually kind of fun. I mean, clearly, as you can see, this is meant to be a roleplay weapon, which is kind of fun. It does get the point across. The way that he's painted, there's primarily that orange and gold combination, but then you've got the silver down here that totally works for what would be a blade, though granted, these bits here would be a little off, but it's a Sentai sword. It doesn't have to be super practical. Heck, it doesn't even have an edge. It's just kind of squared off. But still, it looks pretty decent. It's a pretty decent size. It's not sword size. It's more like long dagger or knife sized. But still, it's kind of neat. And the way this thing changes around, it's kind of fun to see how everything integrates into the robot. It's some cool detailing. I also like the kind of big ruby thing up here, which does light up if the electronics worked, which they do not. And then you've got some nice molding throughout here and some kind of jewel-looking stuff in the gold chrome there. And yeah, overall, it's a neat-looking sword. Orange is not necessarily the best color, but it's cool. I like the form of it. Getting those size comparisons done real quick. Here you can see Zubaan's sword mode with a standard deluxe. And it's a Sentai figure, so of course it's big. And here it is with the duck tank. Alright, now for the fun part. I'm actually going to walk through the transformation because, well, that's what I do with the Sentai stuff these days. It's very simple, but I like how straightforward and simple it is. So this bit here, you want to turn it clockwise. Give that a turn, and when it clicks into the center, these bits will spring out. That's another difference, as I understand it, between the Japanese and US versions, is that this is not spring-loaded in the US version. Anyway, from there, this will kind of unclick from here and slide up. And as it slides up, it gets to here, and when you click it in place, and I love that part of the transformation. I love how that clicks down and just makes that little bit go boop, and how it's sliding up both covers up the ruby and reveals the face there. That's neat. And it's also cool how when this thing is down here, it fills in the sword, and then when you slide it up, it reveals the thighs and all that stuff, and the pants detail and whatnot. It's actually really clever. Anyway, pop these apart. You can see there are two pegs and clips there, and this peg folds in. I'm a little, I don't know how long that'll last. I mean, it seems to be holding up just fine, but it's clear plastic. But if you wanted to clip it shut without it, it'd be fine. You just have a little bit of a gap up here because it doesn't hold together quite as strong. But anyway, pop that open, rotate these forward, and flip the feet forward, and that will also give them heels. And lastly, bring down the arms. And there we've got Zubaan in his, I don't know if he's a robot or what, but in his night mode. And this is neat. I like how interesting this is. I know Boukenger has nothing to do with Magi Ranger, but it kind of has a little bit of a Magi Ranger vibe, just in the sense that he's got this kind of mystical look to him with the crown and the pointy shoulders and whatnot. But this is neat, and really the only difference in terms of color that's revealed here is black. Granted, there's still that black for the handle in the sword mode, but like here, that's entirely covered up, and now you've just got the biceps and the waist stuff and all that. But like most of this detail was for the sword. It's just kind of interesting how that all works. I really like that. And I also think it's cool how the arms come up and like fold in like that to make the handguard. I don't know, it's a cool transformation. You don't get any real posability on this guy. About all you get is the roundabouts, and this ratchet is not doing good. This one's fine. But yeah, that's about all you get. you can do this, but because this is spring-loaded, you can't really do much there. And you can rotate the legs so that they're just out a little bit. I prefer to do that so he looks slightly less robotic, with the legs like straight forward. Or you could do like one out or whatever, but anyway, it's a neat look. Simple, coloration's a little bit off compared to photos that I looked up for the costume in the show, but still, it is cool. And I like how part of the deco of the sword that was like going into the center of the blade becomes almost like a tabard loincloth type thing. Yeah, he's simple, and in terms of functionality, he's not a great toy, but like I really think it's cool how they implemented these designs from the sword to become like the armor, or how the armor shifts around and becomes this sword. And getting a look at Zubaan's face, it's interesting. As I said, I like how this crown thing kind of pops up and reveals, like it covers up the gem, reveals the face. It would be kind of nice if it sat back a little bit more. Like it just kind of wants to rest like this, but if it sat back a little more, it would reveal the eyes a little bit better. And the eyes themselves should be green, but they are not. Well, it's green plastic, but it's like, you can't really see it because it's meant to use the light up feature, and the electronics in this guy, as I said, not in good shape. So kind of tempted to go in there and just paint the eyes green, but I don't know if I'm really going to bother. Because you can still see the eyes, because it's basically black over gold and orange, so it does stand out, but I don't know. Also, he's got this nice gold molded like sword, almost sai looking weapon going up the center here, and that's cool. Again, that center jeweled gold detail that was in the sword now becomes the primary chest decoration. There's some really neat stuff here. But yes, I actually find this guy to be quite entertaining. Definitely not a dynamic figure by any means, but simple as it is, the transformation's fun and he looks neat. Getting back to size comparisons, here he is with a standard deluxe and, Sentai figure, so of course, quite large. Here he is with the duck tank. And because Sentai, here he is with the Super Zeo Megazord, and you can see that he's a little bit shorter than the Super Zeo Megazord, but not by a lot. Simple as this guy may be, and despite turning into a roleplay toy, he's actually like standard Megazord size almost. And that is gonna do it for GoGo Sentai Boukenger Zubaan. I've already repeated myself a couple of times on this guy, but yeah, he's fun, he's neat. I appreciate the fact that it's like a sword that turns into a knight, and both are kind of goofily ornate. But that's part of the charm, because, Sentai. What do you all think of this guy? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.